Long ago in the wilderness of Massachusetts lurked a blue bear, and now he's back in the form of a middle-aged Canadian woman whose cheeks are flatter than deflated dodgeballs. What's up, guys? This is Mr. Asian Pie. Today we're talking about PizzaCake Comics, also known as Ellen Woodbury. Don't worry, it's not doxing because it's public information. PizzaCake, is an online cartoonist who is Reddit famous, which is only slightly better than being Blue Sky famous. She's known for her riveting political commentaries of a country she doesn't live in, and her heckarino relatable humor. She's also known for having a massive Crashout anytime anyone makes a critical remark about her, whether it's about her as a person, her lack of wittiness, or her stagnant art skills. And it doesn't matter whether you're trying to be nice or not, because she will misconstrue any criticisms of her as you victimizing her, even when she is the one very clearly in the wrong. As example, in 2024, PizzaCake released her comic, Talk, onto her home turf of r/comics. The comic was pretty standard feminist what if the roles were reversed, about how men belittle women, despite the fact that in each of the three scenarios portrayed, women also belittle men on these same exact issues and more. Surprisingly though, despite it being Reddit, the comic was actually poorly received, even by her own audience, with male sexual assault victims coming out against her, and rightfully criticizing her for downplaying male sexual assault. Her response was to double down, and it even got so bad that she even lost karma, which is worse than getting ratioed on Zitter, because on Reddit, if you have a low enough karma, you're not allowed to post and engage with certain communities. To be fair though, she doesn't need it because she can just buy the upvotes back. Also, by the way, did I mention that this woman's unemployed? So, how does she stay afloat? Doing porn and cucking her husband. Unfortunately for PizzaCake, even when she's just titties and ass, she's not hot, so she has to go for the next best thing. Drawing porn, specifically rape porn. But don't worry, it gets better because she self-inserts as the rapist. The woman who downplays male sexual assault also draws rape porn. Are you really shocked? To get into specifics, she wants to tie up and molest a young right-wing male in a MAGA hat. Allie Alexander, is that you? Wait! That's slander. She respects people's rights to their bodies. It's actually sexual roleplay, but you wouldn't get it though, you sexless incel chud. Besides, I wouldn't dare slander PizzaCake like how she slandered BasedIfTrue. BasedIfTrue, fellow chink, is a commentary slop channel, no offense, who specializes in browsing Reddit cringe, and is much smarter than me because he actually makes money off this platform. Back in May of this year, he released another run-of-the-mill video just reviewing PizzaCake's comics because her AstroTurf deflated dodgeball ass was plastered all over the top of r/comics. Originally, he wasn't even going to target her, she just happens to dominate the top of the subreddit. Well, PizzaCake saw the video and thought that the most reasonable course of action was to strike everyone's favorite Hoppa Floppa and get the video taken down. The original excuse was on the grounds of copyright infringement, because he used her artwork in his video. Then, she shifted the goalpost and claimed she was actually repulsed by his liberal usage of the dreaded R-slur. Well, damn you dried cunt, you might as well shut down half the internet. She even had the gall to mock people who claimed that she was trying to silence criticisms of her, which she was. When that obviously crashed and burned, as she could only get the video taken down in Canada, she decided to take the next logical step and try to de-escalate the situation by attempting to dox the guy. She contacted the Berklee College of Music to try to get BasedIfTrue expelled from it and obtain his personal information, which by the way is a violation of confidential information and in turn a crime. Fortunately for our feline friend, he actually didn't attend said college as it was only for the skit at the beginning of the video, which means that PizzaCake probably didn't even watch the video and likely just had someone tell her what went down in the video. Sorry, I'm speculating again. But something we don't have to speculate on is the multi-month meltdown turned internet crusade she's been waging since the release of this video. This is a 40-year-old woman, by the way. When silencing and attempted doxing blew up in her face, she then decided to play victim, claiming her critics were the ones trying to silence and dox her! She cries in pain as she strikes you. Now, in all fairness, the shawty did dox her, but considering that her own unapologetic attempts signaled that all tactics lay bare over a video, calling her a terrible person, it's not much of a mystery why sympathy for her was in short supply. Now, doxing is bad, and I do disavow that action. But through the doxing, it was revealed that this woman had over 200 pages worth of DMCA takedown notices. As of writing this video, that is over 40 more pages than her entire Kiwifarms thread. Adding on to the collection of takedowns, she also filed a police report, just straight up, over BasedIfTrue's video. You know, I'd say there's actual problems in the world, but Ellen, you've managed to turn yourself into one. Alright, the contents of her character aren't great, but what about the contents of her comics? The things people actually follow her for, unless you're into cuck porn. It's millennial core slop. Look, I'm quirky too. Hey, I'm a cartoonist. I'm a parent. I encourage my kids to cross-dress. Why the fuck? You wanna know what this is? This is the Soy Man's version of For Better or For Worse comic series by Lynn Johnston, who is also a Canadian. But no! Actually, those comics suck because they lack that quirkerino, wholesome, awesome sauce millennial relatability. Everything that generation touches turns to shit. Now, to be fair, I've actually watched a bunch of millennial slop, more specifically videos of millennial parents bitching about being parents, and they always somehow bring up late-stage capitalism, even if that subject has nothing to do with it. So, I will give PizzaCake credit for abstaining from politics from her content that is not inherently political. Still not my cup of tea, but that's just a personal taste. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said about her political content, as they lack any redeeming qualities the millennial slop comics had. Already with the millennial slop, she was about as witty as your average Substack writer. But it's like the few rules of comedy she understood goes out the window when she tries to tie in a political message. Now I get it. Humor is subjective, but comedy is an art form. Even when trying to send a good message, a good cartoonist still prioritizes comedy over the message. And due to that, the comedy makes the message more poignant. This also applies to storytelling. But I'll be honest with you, I don't think PizzaCake understands the difference between a cartoon and a story because some of her punchlines are longer than a fable. Let's take one of her newer comics, for example, on Trump and the Epstein files. You get the joke? The malignant mango is a hypocrite. If I actually read this out, it probably would have doubled the runtime of the video. Do you want to know how to do the same message in a far more effective manner? Imagine lying to the American people. I just boiled down this entire essay into 6 words of dialogue. Is it funnier? That's up for the viewer to decide, but does it convey the message more effectively? Yes, this one is one of her social commentary comics, specifically about celebrity culture, and it's even more atrocious because it's actually close to kind of being good. The setup could be more refined though. Unfortunately, PizzaCake probably thinks her own audience are retards, so she feels obligated to literally spell out the punchline. Now that I think about it, her audience probably is that stupid, but regardless, the point still stands that this comic breaks, actually no, outright defiles the basic storytelling rule of show, don't tell. The fix isn't even that difficult, just change the last panel to a destroyed car, or if you're too lazy for that, an obituary or something. The frustrating part is that every comic PizzaCake has made that is either a political or social commentary is like this, or it's I depict person I don't like as ugly, which considering her art style is fitting since everyone looks ugly in it. That brings us on to our last point, because ignoring the fact that she's a terrible person and the fact that PizzaCake isn't incredibly witty, her biggest non-characteristic sin is that her art is subpar. Now, I'm not saying she has to improve. If this level of art was making me money, I'd also put the bare minimum effort. It's just that I'd feel embarrassed putting out artworks like this under my name. Starting with the least egregious aspect of her art, the line work is incredibly bland. Now, in all fairness, I also hate doing line work, and it shows in the quality of my own. But PizzaCake's, while it's not light-bringer levels of quality, it's not objectively good by any metric. It just looks like it's there to serve its purpose. Which at that point, you might as well go fully lineless. It might make your art more dynamic and innovative. Also, with how thin the lines were matched with the repetitive geometric shapes that consist of how PizzaCake stylizes her heads, I thought her comics were vector art due to how eerily consistent all the head shapes were. I wouldn't be too surprised if she had a template canvas where she just copies and pastes pre-made assets when she makes her comics, which conveys us on to our next critique. PizzaCake's poses aren't incredibly stiff. That point is pretty self-explanatory. Her characters look like corpses going through the late stages of rigor mortis. Now, once again, in all fairness, I have the same issue. Giving that oomph of life into your drawings is quite difficult. But you've had 4 years to learn this, and don't say that you haven't had the time because you're essentially unemployed. Which brings us on to probably the most unforgivable sin, that being your art is stagnant. If not, it's gotten worse. The most visually interesting artwork you've made is this one, where artistically you're not being yourself. Which is very telling of your character, PizzaCake, because you can't take criticism. Which is truly tragic because criticism is not only the main way you improve as an artist, but also as a person in general, of which you've proven to be quite a terrible one. Now I can probably go on about how I'm not a huge fan of her color palette, her lack of understanding of 3D perspective, and be nitpicky about my criticisms. That, to be fair, can be applied to my own works, but I'm above that because unlike her, I'm not a petty bitch. PizzaCake, if you got to this point, which you probably didn't, you genuinely are a terrible person, an aspect of yourself which reflects in your lifestyle and art. This whole BasedIfTrue situation is only just a reaffirmation. While not wishing maldoings onto you, you have crafted your own miserable life, and deserve the hate and lolcow status you have as the female Andrew Dobson. This has been Mr. Asian Pie. See you on the flip, and don't be stupid.